Hey Molt fans, so today, super exciting news. S Plus is coming out with a new update. I first learned about it from Syntac's video. He said it's called S Plus Ain't Dead, a major overhaul update is coming. So I watched it, and there are a couple of concerns that I had, which led me to look at the patch notes. And there are a couple things he didn't cover, but he did. He covered a lot of it amazingly. So no diss to Syntac, he did a great job, but there are a couple things I also wanted to cover that address some concerns that I had with the new patch that is coming out. Hopefully this Sunday, but it could be delayed. But I wanted to cover some new config and any settings that should give everybody some ease on the adjustability that this new S Plus patch is going to bring and on its different features. So let's get right to it. So first and foremost, the new update is going to make it so that by default, you're not going to be able to pick up the structures. So in order to turn that back on, as it says right here, it now respects the vanilla pickup settings. So you can just throw always allow structure pickup, and I've gone to the server configuration thing. So you can just throw this in there, copy it either from there or from the patch notes. But then you can go to your game ini. Here, I'll just open a thing. Pretend this is my game ini. You can just throw it in there, equals true. The end. That's all you have to do. Just put it in there, or is it game, or let's see. Is it game or game user settings? So if we scroll up, it'll tell us in a little. So in the game user settings. So if you put that in your game user settings under the just really anywhere in there under the server configuration, then you will have the structures always able to be picked up. And just like the vanilla settings, you can also adjust the timer if there is a timer or isn't a timer and how long that is. So yeah, it removed all of these configs as well. So those will no longer do anything. So yeah. The next section is all about how now the new not the new, but the S Plus Engrams now can replace the vanilla Engrams. If you want to disable this, you can just copy this into your game user settings ini. So just copy that equals true and it will work. It should work. You might have to try it with and without the equals true or false because I can't test this, or else I would because the patch hasn't come out yet. But that is how you can fix that. If you really want to see all of the S Plus Engrams as well as the vanilla Engrams, you can just disable it right here. If you, however, have already learned them, in order to, I guess, reset it, you're going to have to mind wipe because it will still show the S Plus Engrams and the vanilla ones because you've learned them both. But if you do a mind wipe, it should reset, and as it says right here. So you've also got the Engram override blacklist, meaning if you just want a couple of Engrams that to not be overridden. Like for me, I use the normal stone fence foundation or just the fence foundation piece to do some things that the S+1 can't. I cover it in some of my videos. But if you still want that, you can add it to the vanilla Engrams that you don't want it to be overridden. So you can add a little blacklist, and in the same way, you can also have an S+ whitelist where you can just have the vanilla structures except for a couple of S+ Engrams. So this could be cool with in certain servers. You could just enable the pickup tool or the multi-tool and omni tool, as we're going to cover in just a moment. So you also have override tech engrams. This is an interesting option because this allows you to learn the tech engrams just by leveling instead of having to go and unlock them via bosses, I believe. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's what this means. As it says here, by default, they're not overridden, so use this to override them as well. So the S+ ones will replace completely the vanilla ones. So as it says here, this will allow vanilla tech engrams that are not hidden to be learned manually, so by leveling up. So, and then with that, they've been given the level requirements as Syntac covers in his video. But another note that he didn't mention is that now it says all map engrams are unlocked on every map. So if I'm reading this right, then you should be able to unlock Aberration, Genesis, Extinction, and Scorched all on the island. If you're on Genesis, you should be able to unlock all the Scorched, Aberration, and Extinction engrams without having to mess with any settings, except for just having S+ installed, which I think is absolutely fantastic. This is going to be so helpful. And if you want to disable this, once again, there's a new any setting that you can put in your game user settings that will disable this. So right here, it's the disable unlocking map specific engrams. Another feature is that now, as Syntac shows in his video, structures will automatically queue, meaning essentially like he showed, that if you start placing walls, if you wait a moment, it will automatically select it, and then you can just keep placing them one after the other. If this annoys you, you can turn it off. You just have to put in the config option, disable smooth build, and this will disable that, and then you'll still have to click the button in order to get it to set or to start so that you can place it. Another couple amazing new integrations with the new S Plus update is that he has worked on the wood and metal ocean platforms. And then as it says right here, they can snap together. You can build out and down. It has snaps for vacuum compartments. It has a bunch of different model variants similar to the glass structures that S Plus adds to the game. But with that, all of the platforms, so the cliff and tree platforms, that Platforms Plus, which is as we know, is a sister mod to S+, those are now integrated into Structures Plus. And as it says here, snapping has been improved and there's been additional stat points added, which is also going to be amazing. I can't wait to check this out some more once the update comes out. Note, though, that so this does mean that if you start a new server or a new save and you haven't built anything yet, you don't have to include Platforms Plus in your mod list. However, if you already, as Syntac mentions in his video, do not remove Platforms Plus if you have used any of those platforms, because if you remove the mod, those platforms will disappear and you will lose your structures. So, once again, don't remove the Platforms Plus mod unless you haven't used any of the platforms. So, there's that for you. Warning for all of you guys. And then one last thing. You can now apparently make platforms immune to damage, which, once again, you probably wouldn't want to do in PvP, but play single player, I play PvE. And this is amazing because it really annoys me when I'm standing on a platform and I have to harvest something and then I accidentally hit the platform and damage it. So I do plan on using this, but you can just simply put this, most likely have equals true. Once again, I can't test this out or I would let you guys know if it just needs to put this or this plus equals true. So what I'm talking about is whether or not you would essentially just put that or this into your game user settings. So I believe it should be this, especially for this one, because it doesn't sound like it does it by itself. So this will be a true or false command most likely, but once again, I can't test it or else I would tell you guys for sure. So that is going to be super nice and handy. So another feature that S Plus is now adding that you can adjust in your config any's. There are also some new updates with the polling system. So as it says right here, there's a new config where essentially there's a cooldown between it's a cooldown for how often you can actually poll for resources. So you can set it so it would most likely be a setting like, show you guys. So put that equals, say, not that high, but say 10 seconds. So I would only be able to poll for resources every 10 seconds. So that's an interesting little config setting for that. As Syntac mentioned, the poll icons on the top of the screen no longer obstruct the CryoPod tooltips, and you can but with that, a couple other notes that he didn't mention is that when you pull for resources, as it says here, it should remember now, like say you last pulled for 100 what? Say 100 bullets. It will remember that you typed 100 in there last, and say you leave and come back, or you want to make 100 narcotic or something, then the 100 should still stay in the top corner. And so, yeah, it'll remember the last input, which is super nice. And another little quality of life update is that you no longer need to select an item in a remote inventory. What this means is essentially, say you were accessing your dino's inventory and you wanted to pull meat from your food trough or your fridge into it without having to walk all the way to your food trough or fridge. You used to have to click on an item that was inside of their inventory in order to pull for that meat from your food trough or fridge. So now you shouldn't have to do that. And as it says here, it's not exactly perfect and it only works in most cases, but that is a really nice quality of life thing, which is really, it's not huge, but it can get a little bit irritating when you're trying to pull for a bunch of different things and you have to keep clicking on that one piece of wood or thatch or something that you put into the dino's inventory in order to pull all of the things into that. So that's a cool little feature. And then another thing that I think is absolutely amazing is that now, as it says here, you can right-click the pull selected button. So the button you click to pull for all the resources. If you right-click, it will ignore the resources in the inventory of that place. So say I'm in my cooking pot or my industrial cooker, I'm blanking on the name. But so I want to mass make a bunch of Lazarus chowder. So I can pull for all the Lazarus chowder, but an ingredient that the Lazarus chowder and say the Freya curry have in common is they both require mejo berries. So if you pull 100, it used to be if you pull 100 for the Freya curry and 100 for the Lazarus chowder, it wouldn't get any new mejo berries because it already has the required amount in the inventory of the cooking pot. Now, if instead of left-clicking both, if you right-click, so say I've already pulled for 100 Lazarus chowder, if I click on the Freya curry and right-click to pull for the Freya curry, it will pull the additional mejo berries into the inventory of the cooking pot, so it will actually have enough to cook all that. So once again, this is just another quality of life thing that is amazing and really excited for. It's going to be super handy, and I can't wait to test all these things out. This next section, Syntac covers really well in his video, is essentially now there is an S Plus multi-tool, which is most of the gun tools that you had in the game all in one, and you can cycle through them. And it says right here if you want to pause and read it, but once as well, I'll include a link. Syntac's video covers all of this really well. So because they're all in one, he removed all the different guns, which once again cleans up the clutter. But with this, there is new config options. So with the multi-tool blacklist, you can hide certain modes. So say you don't want them to just be able to use the old euthanasia gun or dino mode kill or any of these, you can just disable it, or the pickup structure mode. You can disable that if you want to for your server. So that's a cool config option. And then with that, this should allow the server to bypass most of the I'm guessing these blocks. I don't know exactly what this means. I can't test it, but excited to find out. That's going to be handy though. So this will essentially determine how far the multi-tool can reach. So one of the things is that the multi-tool covers, as it says, let's find it in here. There should be where is it? So pretty much how far away it can access things. So like say glass mode, you can adjust the transparency of the glass. Normally, I believe this means that you would only be able to reach 6 foundations away. This you can now change to be higher. So essentially you can stand farther away in order to change the models or the transparencies of your glass structures as an example. So that's a handy little tool to increase for those of us who build a lot in like to change the options of various things, so that'll be very handy. The second new tool that's going to replace the rest of the tools that S Plus added is the S Plus Omni tool, and once again, Syntac covered this very well in his video. I'm just going to do a brief thing over the new config option, which, as it shows right here, you can once again, it's an Omni tool blacklist. You can add add these modes to the blacklist to hide them from players. So very simple. So now the S Plus transmitter is really different. Essentially, it used to work that you just needed one S Plus transmitter, and then you could access the Dino Scan. And in single player, if you put the dash prevent hibernation without any spaces in the launch options of your ARC, so just here, I'll show you guys how to do it real fast because it's super easy. So you can just go here, properties, set launch options. I have a bunch, but if you just throw this in there, then it will enable the Dino Scan to work in single player. So, nope, wrong button. So now, essentially, the Dino Scan is going to require up to 4 transmitters to work like it used to, but now it will give even more info and will give you, as it says here, the gender and stats as well. But you need 5 active transmitters going in order to do that. And once again, Syntac does a great video on all this. He explains a lot of this, but I wanted to cover the new config options that come with this. When I first heard Syntac mentioning all this, I was concerned because there are going to be people who want it to be like it was. Like, I might do that, I don't know, I'll be trying it out and stuff, but you can adjust this new functionality a little bit. So you can disable the Dino Scan stats. So essentially, this option will be removed. So with the 5 transmitters, it won't give the gender and stats in the scan. So there's that to keep it from being overpowered if you want to. You can also disable the need for multiple transmitters. So essentially, as it says right here, it returns to the original functionality of only requiring a single transmitter for full access. So this is what you would put into your game user settings to make it like it was. Like, it's essentially, if you put this in there, it'll put it exactly, well, I don't know, once again, I can't test this because the patch hasn't come out yet, but it will, it should make it exactly like it was originally before the patch that's coming out. And then last, it will also enable you to, normally now, you can't, I don't think you can pick up the transmitter. I could be wrong. Don't quote me on that. But this will allow you to, well, actually, no, that's what it is. Sorry, I'm mixing this up. You can pick it up according to your server settings, but this is a different setting that will prevent it from being picked up for however many seconds that you put. So you would take this, throw it in there, equals, say, if you don't want it to be picked up for 30 seconds, so 30. So that's what you would do with that. That is what that any setting means, but I'm super happy that he enabled this option to keep it like it was, because that is super awesome of Orion's Son. Super grateful for that. This last section is covered once again very well by Syntac in his video, but now you can turn a structure, so say you have a stone foundation down, you can make it look like either a wood or a thatch. And so you could pretty much make it look like what it is. So say you place a metal one, you can make it look like metal or any of the lower tier structures. So that's really cool. Although do note, a greenhouse object that is changed to something else will not provide greenhouse effect to crops. I don't know about the glass, S+ glass, if that will be the same case, because once again, can't test it, it's not come out yet, but that's something to note with the greenhouse, is that it will not provide greenhouse effect if you change it to look like stone. So good to know. Note this and keep this in mind when you're doing this. So essentially you cannot hide the greenhouse if you want it to be a greenhouse. With that, a bunch of little changes, as once again Syntac mentions, the S+ items now have S+ on their icon. They have a different root folder. These are cool. No longer collide players or dinos, can be set to tribe only. That's actually super handy. And once again, fixing little issues. These are once again, very self-explanatory. You can read them in the patch notes yourself, not a lot of different. But another thing to note is, as once again is mentioned in Syntax videos, that water intakes can now be hidden, and that a lot of also the vanilla, the S+, Engrams now cost the same as the vanilla, and same with the dedicated storage, which used to cost a bunch of crazy things. He, once again, little bug fixes, fixing issues with placement and snap assists and all the things, removing the S+ tech bugging and all the things. But that is pretty much all the new changes, and then the new ini config. So I'll make this document available to you guys so you can click on it and see it. Mainly, I've compiled it's down further. I've compiled all the new configs and the configs he removed. So these are the ones he removed, and then I have all these, and these are the new configs, and then it explains what they do. And then at the very bottom, I just have a list of all of them so that you can just copy and paste. So most of them are going to require equals, true or false, or like the white list and the black lists will need to be written in the ini accordingly. But that is all the other features of the the new S+ patch that's coming out. So super excited for this patch. It's going to be absolutely amazing. I'm super excited. Can't wait for it. Thank you so much, Orion's Son, for your continued work. And I am so happy to, once again, not have that green ring from the food trough. So if you guys, this video was helpful, hit that like button, comment below, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to see more. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.